Hello and welcome back to our lectures about synaptic transmission. In this video, we're going to talk about signal termination. And the main question that we're going to be addressing here is what are the ways in which a synaptic signal can be terminated? Okay, so before I actually go into this, let's just kind of talk about why this is important. Okay, so we need to, after we've released neurotransmitter into the synapse and after the postsynaptic cell has read out that signal that has come to it, it's important to clear the synapse, the synaptic cleft of neurotransmitter, okay? The reason for this is that we want to keep our signals current. So just like we saw with the endocrine system, where it's important to clear hormones from the bloodstream so that whatever is happening in the blood in terms of hormone signaling is reflecting the current state of affairs rather than some kind of outdated signal, okay? Same thing has to happen in the nervous system. We want to send our signal and then be done sending that signal so that the body knows, the rest of the nervous system knows that, okay, we don't need to keep doing whatever command you're being, that you, like the brain or this spinal cord is sending us, okay? We want to keep things current, okay? So that said, we have three main ways in which we can clear neurotransmitter from the synaptic cleft. The first that I'm going to describe is shown here. It's called reuptake. Okay, so basically what happens in reuptake is we have transporters in the synaptic terminal, in the axon terminal, or in nearby glial cells, okay, that actually pump up that neurotransmitter back into either the axon terminal or into the glial cell. Okay, and in that way we can remove neurotransmitter from the synaptic cleft there. Okay, I want you to take a moment here to think about this question here. So we have some drugs that block this process. I want you to think about what the result of that would be. So go ahead and hit pause, write that down. Okay, so I'm not going to go over the answer to that. We will talk about that in class. Okay, let's move on and look at our next mechanism. Our second way that we can get rid of neurotransmitter that has been released into the synaptic cleft is by enzymes. So sometimes we have enzymes that are around that can just break down that neurotransmitter. Once that neurotransmitter is broken down, it is no longer effective. It'll turn into other molecules that are not recognized by the receptors on the postsynaptic cell, and then we won't get our responses in our postsynaptic cell, okay? And here's a question for you. Some drugs are going to block this process. So what would the result of that be? So if we block the process, what effect would that have on this system here? So go ahead and take a moment to answer that question. Okay, so that's another one that we will discuss in class, right? Okay, last mechanism that we have for removing neurotransmitter from the synaptic cleft is simple diffusion. Okay, so you all understand, hopefully, the principles of diffusion, right? We're going to have a high concentration of neurotransmitter in the synaptic cleft, lower concentrations of neurotransmitter away from the synaptic cleft. That means that the neurotransmitter is going to follow its concentration gradient out of the synaptic cleft, all right? So those are our three mechanisms for getting rid of neurotransmitter that has been released into the synaptic cleft. One thing that I want to point out to you here is that I think these slides or these figures are a little bit misleading in that we have these numbers. So like just looking back, we have a 1 here and a 2 here and a 3 here, which kind of can make it look like it's a step of sequential as a process consisting of sequential steps. That's not the case at all. Okay, so these three different mechanisms are just three different mechanisms for removing neurotransmitter from the synaptic cleft. They don't occur in that order. They don't always all occur at the same synapse. Just some synapses use some of those strategies, other synapses use other ones of those strategies. Okay, so I just want to make sure to make that clear. All right, so that basically covers the ways that we terminate our neurotransmitter signal in the synaptic cleft. Here are your learning goals. Here's your vocabulary. See you next time.